Hello and welcome to this edition of the Ferrell Phelps Show, where my guest today is Denise Hadnott. Denise is all about money. Tell us a little bit about your company.
Well, the name of my company is Wealth Matters. It's a financial education company. We actually educate teens, young adults, and college students on budgeting, savings, credit, just everything about finances. We do workshops in the community on the weekends, once a month, for teens and college students. I also go out and work with different organizations, speaking with adults on their finances, and I work with schools.
You got a lot going on. Yeah. You know, one of the key things that you said, you're working with youths and you're working with kids. I think it's so important that we train kids at an early age in finances so that when they become adults, they'll become financially sharp, financially smart, and make good, sound decisions with their money. What's one of the main things that you tell a young teen when you're training them and teaching them in one of the seminars as it relates to money? How do you advise them at an early age?
One of the things I always tell kids is to make sure that they begin with the end in mind. And what I mean by that is you have to have a goal of where you want to be, even financially. So when you're thinking about your money, you need to, first of all, create a budget. You need to make sure that you stick to that budget, and you need to make sure you understand your credit. So we talk about all of that, but that's like one of the main things that I tell them, and I always relate their credit to their GPA. The higher your GPA is, the more opportunities you have. The higher your credit is, the more options you have.
Right.
So.
Wow. And that's really a good way to look at that. That is really a good way to look at that. Now I'm going to ask you this. How important, just for those that don't know, how important is credit?
Credit is extremely important. I mean, when you have bad credit, you just limit yourself. It's like you're living in a box. You don't have options to do the things that you want to do, especially if you're an entrepreneur. Just life, period. You have to have good credit. And it just kind of amazes me when people haven't even seen their credit report. They haven't seen their credit report. They have no idea what their credit scores are.
Right.
How are you surviving without really understanding your credit?
Right. Right. And credit is very important. It's important that you check all three of the credit reports too, because there's not just one credit report. And the three of them are?
The three are Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion.
Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion. Now you see a lot of commercials these days where they say you can get a free credit report. Are they actually giving free credit reports?
Yes, they actually are.
And there's no ties to that. There's no hidden agendas.
No, you can get your credit report for free, and I recommend people do it. At least once a year. At least once a year. But if they are working on their credit, get it. Every couple of months. But they need to actually look at their credit. You can actually sign up to a company like Credit Karma. There's no fee.
Okay.
And you can see your credit report, but you can also work on your credit, and they give you recommendations on your credit.
Is that right? Okay. Now tell me this: for a person who may have bad credit, what type of recommendations would you have for that person to start small in increasing their credit? What are some of the things they can do to get their credit to a higher score?
Well, if they have already paid off collections, I would say open up a new credit account, like maybe a secured credit card. And just work your way with making your payments on time. Make your payments on time every month. Don't go over 50% of your limit on your card. You want to make sure that you don't spend too much on there. And by all means, don't close any accounts that you've paid off. A lot of times people will pay off an account and then they'll close it. Well, because your credit history is built on credit history. They want to see that you have longevity sometimes with your credit.
Okay, that makes sense. And I like a lay person like myself, I would think, okay, I've gotten that taken care of. I'm not going to use the account. Let me just shut it down.
Right, you shouldn't.
And you should not.
No, because a lot of times people don't realize my background is in real estate. So I've seen where people will pay off an account and then they'll close it. Well, that will actually drop your scores before it goes back up. It'll drop your scores because you close that account.
Interesting. Very interesting. Now, another thing that I've been told as it relates to credit is that if you have a lot of things on your credit that's bad, don't focus on that bad stuff, but just to focus from where you are and to build from that point. How accurate is that information?
Well, see, it depends. It depends on what's the latest that bad stuff was reported. If you have bad stuff that's recently reported, then you have to deal with it because it's being reported.
Okay.
However, if you have something that was bad, let's say
7-8 years ago.
7-8 years ago, and it's not being reported, then yes, you can technically start working on what you have currently.
Okay.
But that stuff, and that's old, still may come back.
Okay. Okay.
So.
Interesting. I just heard that the other day, and I was like, I wonder if that's true. If you should just ignore what's already been done because there's nothing they can do about it, and then you can hire or hire an agency, but they're not really gonna help you as far as what was done in the past because the damage is done, is what I've been told.
Well, I mean that really just depends.
Okay.
Yeah, it just depends. Everybody's situation is different when you're looking at that credit report, and a lot of times what people look at is old, and they're like, "Oh, that was so old, I don't need to, touch it or do anything." But again, it really depends on when it was reported.
Okay. Okay. When it was reported.
Because they could still be reporting it within the last year. You can have old items on your credit report that a new collection agency could purchase, which is an old debt.
And that's what happens a lot, isn't it? New collection agencies will purchase it, and next thing you know,
they'll re-report it.
Okay.
And a lot of times people are like, I had that account way back in college, but it's re-reporting.
Wow. And if it's re-reported, then how do we, the only thing we can do, you say, is to take care of it.
Yeah, you'd have to take care of it, whether you settle with them or you're going to have to pay it off. Because if it's truly yours, you probably have to pay that debt off.
Now, how willing are most creditors to work with you when you're in that type of situation?
They're very willing to work with you. The thing is, a lot of people won't take the time to try to do it because it takes time. It's going to take discipline. It's going to take patience to really work on that. But a lot of people don't want to do that, so they rather just kind of either turn it over to a credit company or someone like that. But my thing has always been, when it comes to credit, it's kind of like with weight. We don't gain weight overnight. We don't get bad credit overnight. So we can't lose.
That's a good way to look at it.
We can't lose the weight overnight. So our credit isn't going to just improve overnight. So you have to take the time and you have to work at it. And you have to stay on it. And those creditors, they will work with you.
Okay.
A lot of them will.
So what's the first step in getting that credit repaired? What is your very first step with getting that repaired?
Reviewing your credit report.
Okay.
You really need to go through your credit report thoroughly. And it's going to be a breakdown on there.
Okay, with the credit report. Okay. And then we can also seek somebody like yourself that can give us a little bit of guidance as well with that type of thing. I'm so excited about today's show because I want to learn so much more about money and how I can make money work for me.
Right.
And money is something that makes the world go round. We all need it.
Yes, we do.
And we would like to have it in abundance. And we're going to talk a little bit more about money and the abundance of it in just a moment. When we come back, you guys stick around. We'll be back. All right, welcome back to this edition of the Ferrell Phelps Show, where my guest today is none other than Denise Hadnott. We're talking about finances, right?
Right.
And now Denise, when I left off, I'm talking about money and the abundance and growing our money, this, that, and the other. You have a challenge, right? It's a 52-week, that's a long challenge.
No, it's really not. 52 weeks.
52 weeks. So it's basically a year. Okay. Now, dang, girl. 52 weeks, that's a serious commitment. Yes. But it takes that.
It takes that.
Tell me a little bit more about the 52-week challenge.
Well, it's a 52-week savings challenge. It's a chart. And it's set up to give you a different amount every week that you save. And the goal at the end of the year is to have $5,000 saved.
Okay.
Now, what you save for is up to you. It can be for to buy a new home, if you're needing a new car, if you're trying to save for vacation, for the kids, to get out of debt, whatever you're saving for is up to you. Okay. But the goal at the end of the year is to have $5,000 saved.
Okay, with the 52-week challenge.
52-week challenge.
Interesting. So tell me, Denise, how, the finances, I know, let's say for an entrepreneur, like myself, my finances fluctuate.
Right.
I don't know that on Friday I'm going to have a check for $5,000. I don't have that type of. How would you suggest that type of thing for a person that's in business whose finances might fluctuate?
Well, I would say, because one of the reasons that I do this is because as an entrepreneur, I went through a divorce. So with having 2 incomes, I went to 1 income. So I had to recreate my own budget and learn how to save on my own. So being an entrepreneur, some months, like you said, I may not have any income coming in. And then some months I have a lot of income coming in.
Right.
So what I would tell people is save at your own comfort level.
Okay.
And as an entrepreneur, when you get that check, like for instance, right now we're doing the 52-week challenge. So as of right now, this week we'll be at $100. Next week, I think we'll be at $225. So when you get that check, take that amount of money and put it in. So because everybody can't save $25 this week, $35 next week.
Yeah, got you.
So, but what you can do is when you get your check, just go ahead and set that money aside and go ahead and put it into your savings. Because at the end of the day, we're doing this just to create a habit of saving. Because everybody can't do it. You know, everybody can't save that amount, but it's just to create that habit of saving.
And that's the good thing when we're able to develop good habits, because they'll manifest later on.
Exactly.
You know, we don't see it right now, and it certainly takes commitment.
Exactly.
And it takes effort.
And it takes discipline.
And it takes some serious discipline. And I speak for myself. I like to eat. Time we finish this show, I'm gonna eat. And so I know for myself that's one of the things that I have to work on, my eating budget. You know, and maybe curtail that a little bit so that I can put some of that into a savings, right?
Right.
Those types of things would be helpful.
Right. But you know what? That's like one of the main things that I hear people talk about when they're talking about trying to work on their budget. Money that they spend on food, going out to eat, entertainment, that's where it's like they can't even figure out where their money is going till they start looking right there. You look at those bank statements, you see that's where your money is going. But again, it goes back to planning. If you plan, for instance, if you plan, let's say, your meals for the week, you know how much you're going to spend because you already have that set in place. If you know you have certain things coming up that week to go out to eat, plan how much you're going to spend and stick to it. Because if you don't, then you will always overspend. You always overspend. If you just wing it, you're always gonna overspend.
You will always exceed. And then you'll be disappointed at the end of the year in your 52-week challenge when you ain't got nothing in the bank.
Exactly.
Yeah. What made you come up with that, with the 52-week challenge?
Well, actually, again, it was just people that I've been working with and talking to. Just one of the things that everybody was talking about that they had a hard time with was saving. So it's like, okay, wait, we got to figure out some kind of way to get people in the habit of saving. So that's how we came up with the savings challenge. Now, for the challenge that we have, again, it's at $5,000. But I would tell people, if you can't do that, maybe start off with $1 a day for 30 days. Start off with $1 a day for 30 days. And then the second month, do $2 a day for 30 days. But you see what's going on, you're getting in a habit of saving. You're going to save something.
I like that.
Because when you think about it, we have, a lot of times, that change is sitting in your car, the bottom of your purse. Save it. Save it.
I like that. I like that. And you know, and when you say it like that, Denise, it helps. I think that the audience can understand, not so much understand it better, but they can see it as more of an achievable goal. When you start small and then you just give the increase.
Exactly.
Yeah, because now it's not so intimidating to me. I can say, okay, I think I can do it. I might even be able to do $10 a week. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But I like that. I like what you just said about starting off small. So what she's saying is even if you start with $1 a week, and just think, at the end of the week, that's $7. The following week, maybe do $2, whatever it is. But that will certainly help you.
Right.
And you know, another thing that I've seen people in the finance world talk about when they talk about just starting small is saving all of your fives. I have a friend who is just nuts about saving all of her fives, and she loves to flash them and show them to everybody to let them know how many fives she has saved. You know, and sometimes actually get to the thousands of dollars. You know, within a short period of time, and she shows off. Yeah, she's gonna let you know she got all her fives. You know, which I think is a great idea.
Right.
And it's one that I want to adapt myself, and I've actually tried it myself too, and I did it rather successfully. And then I went through a little challenge and.
But life happens.
And life happens. But it's good that when life happens, you have put those files away so that you can utilize them at a time that you need them.
Absolutely.
Amen?
Absolutely.
And that's why it's good to have that savings. You know, so what Denise is saying and what I'm saying, just start small, you know, and then you can always grow. But I think the key to this is developing good habits.
Exactly.
Developing good habits. Now, we talked a little bit about credit. Now we've talked about savings, how we can just put a little bit away. I want to talk about home ownership.
Okay.
And how important is credit to home ownership?
Credit is critical to home ownership. If your credit is not, you know, where it needs to be able to purchase a home, you're not going to be able to purchase a home. You're going to have to wait.
Yeah.
You'll have to wait, or you'll have to find a property to lease, you know, until you can purchase a home.
Yes.
But you have to have your credit in line. Okay. Your credit score needs to be at least a 640 for most programs. Okay. You need to have about 3.5% down if you're doing FHA loan. If you are able to go conventional, then you're looking at about 5%, 10% down. It really just depends. Depends on the loan program. But once you have your savings and you have your credit in line, you're pretty much ready.
Positioning yourself.
You're positioning yourself.
Okay. And so most programs start with, they would like for you to come in with at least a 640
at least a 640 credit score.
Which means?
Which means that you're able to get approved. And that's that's a pretty good credit score. 640 is pretty good.
Pretty good credit score. Okay. Now, what do you say to someone who has like a score that might be 550, 560? Just wait?
I would tell them,
build it up?
Yes, to wait and build it up. Absolutely. Okay. And
once you build it up, you get a lower credit, not so much lower credit score, but lower interest rate. Yes. When you make your home purchase. Yes. So that's why it's important that we maintain our credit and keep a good score. Yes. So that we can save money. And have I like that. Right, and that lower interest rate will help you save money on your payment. Higher your interest rate is, the higher your payment is. So you want to make sure that your credit is where it needs to be so you can have a lower interest rate. Right. But then you also, too, with your credit, you want to make sure you don't have too much debt. Because that can also play into fact when you're trying to get approved. Because if you have too much debt, then there's less home that you may be, as far as your payment that you may be able to get. We're going to talk a little bit more about debt in just a moment. When we come back, you guys stick around. We'll be back. All right, welcome back to this edition of the Ferrell Phelps Show with my wonderful guest, Denise Hadnott. We're talking about finances and money. Money is something that we all need. But you know what, Denise? We always misuse money and abuse money. That's true. You know, we want money to treat us right, but we don't treat money right. That's true. And I guess in order for money to give us what we need, it's like, this makes a lot of sense. It's like a bank. You can't make withdrawals where you've not made deposits. Right. So it takes investing in our finances by saving. Right. In order for us to have a moment in time where we can make those withdrawals. Right. That's where the challenge comes in, because it's hard for us to do that, and a lot of times we end up finding ourselves, because we've mismanaged, finding ourselves in debt. Right. When it comes to debt, what are some of the things that you feel could prevent us from being in debt? A budget. Back to the budget. A budget is the foundation of your finances. Okay. Because if you have a budget and you budget correctly, you will be able to track all of your spending. You shouldn't have money that you don't know where it went, and you should know where all your money is going. Okay. So a lot of times people will do a budget, but they'll just put their mortgage, you know, their car note. They don't put all of their expenses. Okay. You know, you have to be realistic and create a budget that has everything. Okay. Don't shortchange yourself. Put everything on that budget. And really look at where you are wasting money. Okay. Because a lot of times when you have that budget in place, you have that daily spending tracker in place, you shouldn't have an issue. Because I teach my students, when you create a budget and you get ready to save, take that first 10% to use that towards saving. Okay. Okay. No matter how much money you're making, take that 10% and use that towards saving. Okay.
And then everything else should just kind of fall in line. But you need to put all your expenses on there.
Okay.
So I just feel like as far as keeping yourself out of debt, if you can actually live by a budget and know where your money is going, I think you can keep yourself out of debt.
Okay. You know, and that's very smart information, definitely. You know, for myself, I'm going to put myself on Front Street here, Denise. I'm always afraid to look at budgeting because I know I'm going to go, you know, it's like I'm paranoid when it comes to actually sitting down, and I just had this big, I don't know how to even describe it, like a fear of doing it. A lot of times I feel like I'm going to come up short when I'm in the process of doing it. So I kind of avoid it and end up dealing with the issues later, which is probably a big mistake on my part.
Big mistake.
Yeah, big mistake on my part. So this type of advice certainly is the best advice, and I certainly appreciate hearing it from an expert like yourself. Now, I know some people out here have a couple of questions for us. And Melissa, I'm going to start with you. You had a question for Denise.
Well, actually, I have several, but I'm going to pick one. I have a question about the 52-week challenge.
Okay.
I and my husband are entrepreneurs, and sometimes our finances don't come in like we want them to. And if we have a savings throughout the 52-week challenge, would it be okay for us to borrow from our savings when we need it, and then once our
your checks come in or whatever, then you'll just put it back?
Contribute back? Or would you advise us maybe not to save as much and keep that money and then eventually put it back in to meet the challenge for the end of the year? How would you balance that?
A couple of things. One, once you set your goal of how much you're going to save, I would say save at your comfort level. So if you can afford to save whatever that amount is, save that. If something happens, which we all know life happens, if something happens and you need to borrow from what you've saved, as long as you honestly know within yourself that you're disciplined enough to put it back, then I say okay. But if you know you're not disciplined enough to put it back, then no, I wouldn't borrow from it. Because a lot of times what we borrow from, we don't put it back. We may say, yeah, I'm going to put it back, but we don't put it back. Okay. So, one, I would say not to borrow from it, but if you know you're disciplined enough, because like I said, we know ourselves better than anyone else. So if you know that you can definitely put it back, then yes, put it back.
Okay, so it's more of a true to yourself.
Exactly.
You gotta be true to yourself. Yeah.
And that's the thing when it comes to finances. It's all about the way that you think. And that's what my book is about. My book is telling people about the way that they think. Money is not, it's not taboo. It's not, people think money, oh my God, but it's not. It's just the way that you have to train yourself to think, and the habits that you create, that's the way that you'll create your financial success.
Your habits toward money. Yes. And the way that you, absolutely. I totally agree.
Thank you.
Totally agree. Yes, absolutely. We also have another question, Toni.
My question is, a lot of people are wanting to fix their credit, so they look for a quick fix by going to these companies that practices credit repair. Do you recommend that? Because I've seen a lot of stories of fraud, and these companies take these poor people's money and say they're going to help them get out of debt, and all it does is put them further in debt because they're not paying their creditors.
Credit repair is not a bad thing. If you can find a reputable company that can help people with their credit repair is fine. I strongly feel that you made the mess, you can fix it yourself. I do believe that. You can fix your credit yourself. Especially like we're talking about the company like with Credit Karma, where you can go on there and you see the recommendations. You can do that yourself because you know what debt is on there. You know if it's yours. You know if you've paid it. You can do those things yourself. It's going to take discipline. It's going to take patience. And you just have to be determined to really, stick with it.
And the whole thing really, as it relates to money, is really about the discipline.
That's what it's about.
Yeah, and so many of us are not disciplined, and that's why we're not able to put that savings, to the side like we need to. Like for myself, there's times that I have saved, and what I'll do, it's like a mental game I play with myself. It's crazy as it sounds. I'll actually pretend that it doesn't exist. Pretend that it's not even there. And like going to get it is not even an option.
Exactly.
And that has helped me in the past. And I need to revisit that attitude right about now. I'm just telling y'all the truth. And I know I ain't the only one. Don't act like I'm the only one out here. You know. But yeah, I need to revisit that mindset.
Well, one of the things about that is that's when you have to look at your needs versus your wants. And you have to really ask yourself, do I need it? Mm-hmm. You know, if I buy it, when am I going to use it? You know what I mean? Yeah. Am I going to wear it? You know, because sometimes you buy things that, oh, that's going to look good but you don't need it. Right. You know, or you have to ask yourself, if I buy this, what am I not going to be able to pay? You know, am I going to miss paying something? Am I going to be short on something if I buy it? So really it just depends on, you know, when you're looking at your needs versus your wants.
Versus your wants, yeah.
And seeing which one,
absolutely,
if it's important.
Absolutely. And that's what it really boils down to, what's important to you. And I know a lot of times for myself, and I'm putting myself on Front Street, it'll be like, I feel like I'm not living life the way I want to, and I can't, you know, when I feel like I'm so restricted, and I want to do A, B, C, or D, and I can't if I'm, you know, it's like, oh, I want to do this. And I really need to be disciplined.
You need to be disciplined, but you have to think about it. You will be able to do those things. You know what I mean? When you've saved the money, because again, if you're saving it towards a certain goal, then you will be able to do those things, and you'll be able to enjoy it. It's like enjoying the fruit of your labor.
Enjoying the fruit, that's a good way to look at it. You know, you have a book. The name of your book is?
Think Like a Real Estate Investor.
Think Like a Real Estate Investor. Now, how do people find out more about that book or how to get it?
It's actually on Amazon. So you can go on Amazon, you can download the book, and I also have the book on my social media pages.
Okay, and tell me the name of it one more time.
Think Like a Real Estate Investor.
Think Like a Real Estate Investor. All right. Now, how do people find out more information about you?
You can follow me on Denise Hadnott on Facebook, on Instagram, and also on Twitter.
All right. There you have it. Fantastic. So there ain't no reason for y'all not to be able to get in touch with Denise and get more information on finances and things of that nature. Thank you so much for joining me on this edition of the Ferrell Phelps Show.
Thank you, and I want to do one more thank you. I want to thank all the people who, for the 52-week savings challenge, we had over 12,000 shares on that savings challenge, and I want to thank everyone who shared. We have over 2,000 people who've actually signed up for the challenge. I want to thank each of you, and I am cheering for each of you so you can meet your goal of saving your money this year.
Fantastic. And you know what? I'm going to have to do some type of challenge. You've inspired me to do some type of challenge. So I'm going to do some type of challenge myself financially. And I'm going to let you know about it. How about that?
And I'll hold you accountable.
And I want you to hold me accountable. All right. For more information on this show, you can certainly go to my website, ferrellphelps.com. You can see a list of my shows right there and everything else I'm doing. Thank you so much for joining me on this edition of the Ferrell Phelps Show. And until next time, we'll see you later.